right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'm Lisa Weber, proud acting superintendent of the Suffern Central School District. And I have some information, some COVID-19 updates and upcoming plans. So I have a short presentation that I'm going to share with you. And then we will take questions in the chat. We have a few people who've reached out already. So I'll address some of those items directly in the presentation. I am joined by my team with the dynamic duo of Mr. Eric Coronado, our Director of Technology, and Ms. Jenny Mermelstein, our Communications and PR Specialist. They're in the room with me, but in the background of this live stream. So that's why I'm wearing my mask, because they are in the room with me. So we'll go to the first slide. First, I just want to update you on some upcoming calendar changes for next week. Monday will be a regular Cohort A day throughout the district. On Tuesday at Suffern Middle School only, we will be in person for Cohort B. All other schools, we will be in person for Cohort A. We really wanted to give particularly our 7th graders who've been out of the building for 2 weeks, the Cohort B students from 7th grade, a chance to come into the building before Thanksgiving. So that's on Tuesday. For the middle school only will be Cohort B. Everyone else will be Cohort A. On Wednesday, November 25th, we have a regularly scheduled half day for our elementary schools. There will be no 2-hour delay on that Wednesday, but there will be a half day. So regular start time, half day end time, all virtual. At the middle school and high school, we'll be all virtual on Wednesdays with the 2-hour delay schedule. Then we'll have Thanksgiving. And when we return from Thanksgiving, we will have a holiday pause from Monday, November 30th through Wednesday, December 9th. Suffern Central will be on our fully remote instructional plan during that week and a half. That decision was not reached lightly. There was a tremendous amount of input from the board, from the community, from the staff, and there are a number of reasons for this decision. The first is the overall rise in infection rates in our community. Our recent yellow zone designation that came through yesterday, which I'll talk about a little bit later, it includes most of our district. The expected increase in infection rates as a result of the Thanksgiving holiday. We know that after Halloween, about 6 to 10 days out from Halloween, we saw a spike in infection rates. The same is expected from Thanksgiving and even higher, particularly with many college kids returning home. Families, while, it's expected that Thanksgiving celebrations are more subdued than usual, there still will be probably more contact than we typically have. So there is definitely an expected spike after Thanksgiving. And then this pause will provide the opportunity for really 2 weeks after Thanksgiving Day, so that any exposures that occur during the Thanksgiving weekend should materialize either as symptomatic or non-symptomatic and no exposures. So we believe that this time frame will provide the buffer we need to return to in-person instruction for Cohort B on Thursday, December 10th. This will provide, Cohort B will be in the 10th and the 11th. The following week will be a regular week with Cohort A attending Monday and Tuesday, Cohort B attending Thursday and Friday. And then the week after that is the week that we are only in school Monday and Tuesday, December 21st and 22nd, I think, or 22nd and I think so, the 21st and 22nd. So this way, Cohort A will have 4 days in school in December. Cohort B will have 4 days in school in December. Of course, our students who are coming 4 days a week will have that opportunity starting on December 10th. I'll take a few minutes to talk about the yellow zone. So here we see a map of the yellow zone, which encompasses a significant portion of Rockland County, And if you look at that, the corner in the lower left, the most western corner, that's us here in Suffern. The yellow zone encompasses all of our schools with the exception of Sloatsburg Elementary. It pretty much covers all of the 10901 zip code, and with only Hilburn and Sloatsburg not included in the yellow zone. So with 6 of our 7 schools in that yellow zone, we are required to implement a testing program. That testing program requires us to test 20% of our in-person students, faculty, and staff over the 2-week period immediately following the announcement of the yellow zone designation. So that was yesterday when this yellow zone was announced yesterday afternoon. So 2 weeks brings us to Thursday, December 3rd. So in order to be open by Thursday, December 3rd, we would have to have 20% of our students and staff, or of our in-person students and staff tested. That's a bit of a challenge. And so coupled with our holiday pause, that gives us a little more time to get the testing done. We will need to have 20% of our in-person students and staff tested when we return on December 10th. We are working on a testing program. We have a number of different avenues for that testing program. They are not solidified yet, so I'm not going to go into great detail, but I'm very confident that we will have a testing program up and running that week after Thanksgiving. Between November 30th and December 3rd, by the end of that week, we should have a testing program up and running. And details of that will be shared both either next week or definitely after Thanksgiving. I just also want to mention coming up in December, during that time that we're really on our remote instruction, we will be having a lot of items related to our strategic planning happening. We will be having virtual focus groups between December 1st and December 9th. A schedule for those will be shared next week and instructions for how to participate. We encourage our community, our staff, our parents to participate in that. We will also have a couple of focus groups for middle school and high school students. There will also be an associated survey with our strategic planning work that will be also released during that same time frame. So at this time, I am happy to take questions, specific to our COVID-19 items, holiday pause, yellow zone testing. So I believe we're going to open up the chat. I do want to thank everyone while we're doing that for your cooperation, your patience, and your flexibility during this time. I really feel that our community has taken care of each other. Folks have been great about keeping people home when they're sick, notifying us about positive cases, abiding by the quarantine. I know this has been a challenging time. I'm very grateful to be in a community like ours that really does take care of each other.
And say that it's open, the chat is open.
I'm sorry.
The chat is open.
So the chat is open now. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have to refresh.
You can remind them maybe to refresh if they're trying to, if they don't see the chat.
If you don't see the chat, please refresh on your YouTube screen and the chat should come up. Again, I want to thank everyone. I know this is, not going to be a popular decision for everyone. In our 3 school days where we were in-person learning today, each of those days I visited one of our elementary schools, and really it's just remarkable what how our teachers and students have adapted to provide a really rich learning experience for our students.
Can you clarify that you said after the Thanksgiving break, the district is required to test 20% of faculty and students?
So the yellow zone designation is that in order to remain open, we have to have 20% of our in-person staff and students tested within 2 weeks of the designation. So the designation occurred yesterday. So 2 weeks from that point is Thursday, December 3rd. Since we won't be back in person until Thursday, December 10th, we have until December 10th to test 20% of our in-person faculty and students.
Do you know how that those students and faculty will be selected for testing?
That is part of the plan that has not been determined yet. And so we will have that information either next week or the week after Thanksgiving.
Are kids still mandated, or are they mandated to go to school in person?
None of our kids are mandated to go to school in person and have not been since the beginning of this school year. Any family that chooses to have their child attend fully remote has that option to do so and continues to have that option.
Do we know anything about the SAT scheduled for 12/5 at the high school?
We haven't addressed that yet, but I imagine we will still have that. I'll have to confirm that with the high school, but I imagine it will still be given.
If there is room to bring more students into school for more than 2 days, is that being explored?
The idea of bringing students who are interested in for 4 days a week is being explored. It will not happen in December. We are exploring the possibility of when we return in January, opening up that opportunity, figuring out where we have space, where we don't have space. And in so doing, will really require a commitment from those families that are fully remote to stay fully remote for some period of time. So that is being discussed, it is being thought about, but I don't anticipate it happening until 2021.
Does the testing have to be done by the school, or can kids be tested privately and show results?
I believe that students can be tested privately as long as we receive a documented result. We need it on paper. It can't be, or paper, or electronically. We cannot accept a verbal testing.
So, and we may not have the answer to this yet, but the 20% on December 10th, does that only require the cohort B 20%, or are we lumping everybody together regardless if it's cohort A or B?
We're lumping it together.
Okay, so both cohorts are included in that 20% each day.
Yes.
And do we know who's actually administering the testing at this point?
No, because we have 2 or 3 different options that we're working through right now.
Is there any talk about making up some of the cohort A days that were missed, because it seems more than cohort B days?
For the most part, no, because there are some days that are missed for holidays, but there have also been days, both cohort A and cohort B days, that have been missed for school closures, and it's different days at different schools. So we're not planning a global makeup. We are using next week's Tuesday because we really wanted to give the cohort B students, particularly at the middle school, particularly the 7th grade who haven't been in 2 weeks, we wanted to give them a chance to come into their buildings and see their teachers. Some of them, because the quarter changed during this time, some of the 7th graders haven't even met their teachers in person yet. So we wanted to make sure they had that opportunity next week. But at this time, that's the only swap that we've considered.
Questions being asked about if we are considering another holiday pause after the winter break.
I think we really want to see what happens with this one. Is there the anticipated spike that we are expecting? The other thing about the December break is the break itself is longer, and the big holiday being Christmas is at the beginning of the week. Yes, New Year's is a big holiday, but I suspect that the state will take care of making sure New Year's is not widely celebrated. And I don't think it's as big a holiday for kids either. It's not typically as family oriented. So it is something we'll have to consider and really use, we saw a small spike after Halloween. We want to see what the spike is here. And then in January, we'll make a decision based on that evidence.
Someone asked if there'll be a written summary of what we've just talked about being provided, so.
Yeah, so there's going to be a communication that goes out later that just is really about the dates and the holiday pause. Either next week or more likely, I would say early in the week after Thanksgiving, probably maybe by Tuesday the 1st or Wednesday the 2nd, we will have a very clear articulated plan for our 20% testing. That'll be communicated, it'll be likely on the website, translated, and we'll provide all of that at that time.
Is there a reasoning behind the middle school changing cohort A and B next week?
Yes, the main reason is particularly the 7th grade cohort B students have not been in the building for 2 weeks. They won't have the opportunity because of Thanksgiving to go next week. With the closure, they won't have the chance to go through till December 10th. So basically the 7th grade has been out of the building for a month. We wanted them to have one chance to come in. As I mentioned, the quarter changed. So in some cases they have a new teacher they haven't even met yet.
Okay. Is Sloatsburg included in the testing since they're not part of the yellow zone?
So Sloatsburg, middle school and high school students will definitely be included in the testing because they are going to school in the yellow zone. In terms of the elementary students, I don't think we would omit them. So if they want to be part of the testing, I think we would welcome them to be. We won't require it, but middle school and high school students may be required.
How will parents know if their kid is, like, how will we alert people as to if they're?
So when we release the plan on December 1st, around December 1st or December 2nd, we will share all the details about how to get tested and
what test it is. And
yes, what test it is, how it works, who's doing it, where to go. All of those details will be released at that time.
And just to confirm or reiterate, holiday pause means fully remote, not no school.
Correct. We are absolutely fully remote from November 30th through December 9th. Teachers will be logging in every day. They will be teaching every day. School is not closed. The buildings are physically closed. There will still be some pickups and things like that. But instruction will be taking place, and it will be taking place virtually for those 8 school days.
Is there enough time to clean between the cohorts at the middle school next week, between Monday and Tuesday?
Yes, we'll assign appropriate buildings and ground staff so that the middle school is cleaned between the 2 cohorts.
People who are being tested, I don't know if you know the answer to this yet, when we do the testing, are those people required to stay out of school until the results are? So
the testing that we'll be doing is rapid testing. So there won't be the 2 or 3 day waiting. There won't be a need to wait multiple days. If people choose to go privately and have the test, then yes, they will have to wait. But our testing that we implement will be the rapid testing.
Yeah, okay, because there's more questions like, will we get priority? Lines are long everywhere.
So the advantage of the school offering the testing is that we'll manage the line and the wait, and it will only be students and staff who can use the school's testing. So we will manage that in a way that the line shouldn't be long and you shouldn't have to wait in a place where you're concerned that people are maybe symptomatic or you have to wait several hours.
Okay, the question is, when kids come back on the 9th, every kid that goes to school, do they have to have a COVID test by then?
No, so they're coming back on the 10th, and not every kid has to have a COVID test by then. We're in a yellow zone, which means only 20% of our students, of our in-person students and staff, need to be tested. If we get moved to an orange zone, then yes, everyone would have to be tested. But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Okay. Are free lunches being offered during this time?
Yes. Our free breakfast and lunch will be offered during the holiday pause. It will be delivered as it was over the summer on Mondays and Thursday. So that'll be Monday the 30th, Thursday the 3rd, and Monday the 7th. If you received the deliveries over the summer, you don't need to do anything. If you did not receive the deliveries over the summer and would like to receive free breakfast and lunch, we'll be sending a communication out later today, and there will be a link to a form to fill out for that for the free breakfast and lunch during the holiday pause.
There's some very specific questions about the testing. I believe at this point we're not ready to.
I'm not prepared to answer very specific questions about the testing because we haven't fully determined which route we're going to take yet.
Has there been any discussion in the district around bringing Wednesdays back as making it a full day as opposed to the 2 hour?
At this point, no. The 2 hour delay has really been an incredibly valuable tool for staff to continue to move their own knowledge forward of working in this hybrid environment, both using technology and the pedagogy behind it. It's been a particularly useful time, I know, for many of our service providers, special educators, English as a new language teachers, to touch base with all of their colleagues who may teach different grades or different courses. Probably the most popular decision I made this year among the staff was that 2 hours, and it has been used incredibly well.
What about special needs classes or IEPs? Are they going to be following IEPs during their break during virtual learning?
So during the virtual learning, they'll follow them the same way we did back in September when we were virtual for September. And they should be, continue with all the services they're receiving in person in their virtual format.
While we're fully remote, will Wednesdays be full day or will there still be a delay?
So that's a very good question. Will Wednesdays be a full day or will they be a 2 hour delay during the remote? We are going to keep the 2 hour delay schedule. It is a very short remote period. Believe it or not, we have a lot of PD planned on both December 2nd and December 9th. And so we are going to keep the 2 hour delay for those 2 Wednesdays. But remember, Wednesday before Thanksgiving is not a 2 hour delay at elementary, but it's a half day.
Would you please clarify your statement concerning families committing to keep their children remote so others can be present more days than their assigned cohorts?
Sure. So I have received many emails, many phone calls requesting that students who want to come in be able to come in 4 days a week. Many parents have cited that with the number of kids being remote, there's space. There appears to be space. Many of our, particularly high school classes, don't have very many kids attending in person. And parents are very persistent that they should have the opportunity for their children to attend 4 days a week. And so the administration will be brainstorming and discussing a plan for how we can bring back those kids who want to be back in person 4 days a week, how we can allow that to happen. In order to do that and still maintain social distancing, we may need a firmer commitment from those families that are fully remote that they intend to stay fully remote. We have been very flexible up to this point, much more flexible than most districts. We always try and accommodate everyone, but in order to bring back more kids 4 days a week, we're not going to be able to stay that flexible. So as we plan that for the winter, hopefully for the winter, we'll need really to work with our community and make sure we can make that happen safely.
Does the holiday pause affect sports starting on November 30th?
So for now, I'm going to say no, sports will still be able to start. I do have to get some clarification on that. I'll also say that I'm not sure if we have to have 20% of the athletes tested by December 3rd if we are holding sports practice. So that's another question I have that I'm still waiting to get an answer on.
Do we know how we're going to handle positive results from those testings?
I'm not going to go into tremendous detail because I'm not a medical professional, but what what I've been told will happen, what kind of, when I play the movie out in my head of what I've been told will happen, is folks will have an appointment time, approximately 15 or 20 minutes. They bring their child does the test goes into the machine, child goes back to the car, waits till the results come out of the machine, someone calls them and says your child is negative or positive. If the child is positive, the next thing is for the family to bring that child to their healthcare provider.
And then contact tracing.
Well, except ideally we wouldn't have been, contact tracing for them privately, but since we haven't been in school, it won't involve contact tracing at school.
And so that will happen every day that school is open?
No, it's 20, we need to do 20% in order to, within the first 2 weeks, and then it's 20% each remaining week until we get to 100%, unless our initial 20% is a lower rate than the general population, then there's a way that we don't have to keep doing it every week.
Snow days is a question.
So snow days, that's on my agenda for our meeting today. So snow days, at this point, if it snows between November 30th and December 9th, we will continue with remote instruction. I will have a communication out about snow days and how we want to handle them, probably along sometime during that time frame in early December. I am inclined to turn snow days into remote instruction days. Of course, if we're expecting a blizzard and 2 feet of snow and power outages galore, that can change that. What probably the most frequent type of decision I have to make or superintendent has to make about snow days in our area is that wintry mix. That we hear we're going to get something, it's a wintry mix. Is it going to be rain? Is it going to be ice? Is it going to be snow? Are we going to be on the rain side of the line or the snow side of the line? Or are we going to get iced over? And that's always a very, very hard call to make. I'm inclined when that situation comes up to just say we're going to be remote that day. Then no one has to worry about driving in whatever mess it ends up being. That's my inclination at this point, but I will have a more more clearly articulated plan to share in December.
Thank you. Is your child is selected to test in that 20% and you don't want them to? What is the option then?
So if your child gets tested, which they will at some point, if they're not in the first 20%, they will be in the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth. We can't retest students from the first 20% until all kids have been tested. So when your child's time comes, if you choose not to be tested, we're going to ask you to have your child being remote because at some point they have to be tested. We can't go back, assuming we stay in the yellow zone. If we get cleared of the yellow zone, then everyone's back and we don't have to worry about it.
Let me see if there's anything else. If someone comes back positive, they have to follow the protocols of the healthcare provider, quarantining and all of that.
Yes, if someone is positive, they would have to isolate. So when we let them know that the result came back positive, we would immediately direct them to make an appointment with their healthcare provider.
Yeah.
I'm just going back through old questions and see if there's anything I missed. Is there so pooling all of in-person kids together doesn't matter if you're a 4-day week or a cohort A or a cohort B? It's just
the total of in-person.
Okay.
So it's 20% of the total of the in-person.
Still confusion around Sloatsburg having to be a part of the testing.
So Sloatsburg elementary students do not have to be a part of the testing. They can be. I don't think I'll tell them they can't be. Sloatsburg middle and high school students, since they attend school in a yellow zone, will need to be part of the 20% because they're also counted in our total number of in-person students. So they would need to be part of the 20% that get tested in the first round.
If a student tests positive, do they need a negative test to be readmitted back to school?
So we have protocols for how they get readmitted, and the same protocols we've been following all along will continue to be in place.
There's some talk of false rapid tests coming back false positive. If
Yes.
they are retested and it's negative, how does that work?
So the rapid test isn't perfect. It does have false positives. Typically, the false positives can occur in an asymptomatic case. And there are Department of Health protocols for that, which the last time I spoke with the Department of Health required 2 PCR tests 24 hours apart, both negative. I don't know if that's changed. I had that conversation with the DOH. It actually related to our very first case. So I'm going to say it goes back to probably 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. I don't know if that protocol has changed, but that's the last one I was aware of.
Does the holiday pause affect the high school CTEC students?
Does it affect the CTEC students? If CTEC is open, they can still participate with that. I think we'll have to take a look at the busing on that one. That's an excellent question.
Does the heating system at school have proper filtration?
Yes, all of our air systems are consistent with CDC guidelines.
More elaboration on the returning to school after a positive test, but we can let him.
So our protocols have that the student needs to stay out a certain number of days, has to be symptom-free for a certain amount of time. Those are articulated in our reopening plan. I'm not saying the numbers because I don't want to get them wrong. So it's X number of days and they have to be symptom-free for a certain amount of time. And then they can return to school. Our school nurses are the experts in that, and they know what the rules are.
Someone suggested including like a Q&A of this on our website, which we will do.
Oh, great.
And we can include a link to where those protocols are or more detail about that as well.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you for that suggestion.
Let's just see if there's any last questions.
All right, then if you could put up my last slide.
What's up?
All right, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I know in my family, Thanksgiving's not going to look the way it normally looks. We'll be about half the size we normally are. But this is a time that we really can be so grateful for what we do have. And I saw something on social media last night and I just wanted to share it. And it was, I don't even know where it came from, but it says, if 2020 is telling us anything, it's telling us enjoy the moments we have and don't take any day, anything, or anyone for granted. So with that, I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for all you've done to support our community during this time. I wish you all the best. Enjoy your holiday.